Okay, recently one of my creations went viral. I think currently the Instagram post I posted of this creation is sitting on 4.7 million views, which is absolutely wild, absolutely phenomenal. So what I thought I would do is post the long form video of this creation by itself and start somewhat of a mini series creating these pieces. I loved creating it so much, and it played on vintage nostalgia, pottery, and my mystery mould. And because you guys loved it so much, this is my animals in plate bed series. Let's see how many I end up doing. I'm just not going to put a number on it, but this is the first one.
I found this plate in my shed full of molds and wanted to do something unique and fun with it. I love the frilly edges and really wanted to play into something vintage and nostalgic. I was actually really stuck on what to do with this plate, and then I was going through my messages on Instagram and someone sent me a plate that I've been obsessing with, and instantly I was like, that's it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna create my own Aussie inspired version in my style of this famous viral plate. So what I'm creating here is the teddy bear plates from Young Kokuyo, I think is how you pronounce it, in 1981. So these plates were cute little teddy bears in blankets, and they came in pink, blue, and pastel yellow. It depicted a teddy bear cuddled up in a blanket, and the blanket went across the circumference of the plate. But the difference between these plates and mine is that this teddy bear is actually a koala, and I'm making a full quilt instead of just one color. So the process of creating my teddy bear plate is that I'm sculpting onto the plate in the mold for support. Because underneath the plate is an open foot, I was worried by sculpting directly onto the plate without support underneath it would mean that it would bow and sink. I actually ended up having to put heaps of sponges underneath it just to support the weight of the teddy bear so that the plate wouldn't warp. I created the teddy bear by adding the pillow first so that I could get the placement right, then adding the head onto the pillow. I then created a former, so like a sculpture underneath the blanket so that the blanket had some support underneath. I was thinking about adding sort of like a sponge or tissue paper on there, but because it was going to be in an enclosed shape, I thought it would be better to have some kind of solid structure on it, particularly because if you are putting things on it, I didn't want it to be a really thin blanket and having a hollowness underneath it. I just was aware of that, so I just wanted to make sure that it was a solid shape under the blanket. It looks a bit silly, but just imagine after I had sort of like folded the blanket on, I created the top line of the doona cover so that you could distinguish between the doona and the sheet that I'm going to put underneath it, and then also added some little coils to create some shaping and some movement of the fabric, much similar to the original plate. Now the distinguishable part, as I mentioned, was that the original plates were just one color. Now I'm not just doing one extra color, I am going full rainbows here, full patterns, and I'm making this really quirky repeating pattern quilt. In the past, I have actually tried doing quilt patterns with tissue transfers. I've done one on a teapot, I've tried repeating patterns and everything, but never just committed to the time of hand painting each individual patch. I've really wanted to do it, but this teddy bear plate, I was like, if I'm gonna make this mine, I need to do it. And I think the most frustrating part about ceramics and why I haven't done it sooner is because the coating times of underglazes, often you've got the one coat time and it's a really long time, but then you've got to do it 3 more times to get the color opaque, and that's not even the time including in just finessing the shapes and making sure that all the lines are clean and smooth. I actually always say this, but the most simplest designs with underglaze are the ones that take the most time because you have to coat it so many times perfectly. You're like going over your old work but making sure you don't go outside the lines again. I actually mixed up a buttery yellow underglaze to complement the quilt colors. I was actually umming and ahhing about what color I wanted to do the rim for a little while. I wasn't sure whether to do it a color that was on the quilt or whether it would be too much of that color or whether it would moody it down or whether it would be soft and delicate. I just wasn't sure what to do. I ended up going with this mix of the orange, yellow, and then softened it with a bit of white to sort of just complement it, make it still stand out and contrast with the plate itself, making the frill a bit of a feature but still standing on its own, if that makes sense. It was just like a really fine balance. balance. I'm not actually sure how this color is going to come out because I've never tested it before, but I'm hopeful it will look quite similar to what it looks like here. I also went in with my dotting tool and created a cute little bedsheet pattern. I wanted it to be really minimal and like those cottage bedsheet sets that you see. I've just done some pink kind of dotting flowers, and then it's going to complement one of my quilt patterns. On each of the colors, I'm doing the same pattern. So on the blue, it's all the same pattern. On the green, it's all the same pattern, and then just repeating that throughout the design. At the start of the video, you saw me mapping out which patches were going to be which color. This was just so that at the end, I didn't have any of the same color touching each other. I just wanted it to feel flowing and free and not too much of the one color in the one space. So it did feel really authentically like a quilt being made in progress. On the patches, I also did some little sketches about what minimal designs I wanted to do on each one. Because there's so much detail, I had to keep each patch detailed but still simple. So that's where I've done one that's a plaid design, one that's a dotting flower design to match the sheets beneath the teddy bear, and then some love hearts and a bold flower as well. I also did one patch that was kind of looking like a bit of a knit interlocking pattern. It kind of just ended up looking really cool. It doesn't really necessarily look like an interlocking pattern, but it does blend in really nicely with the texture. It was quite tricky to figure out the correct balance of what the quilt patches need to be, because you need some that are really textured and you need some that are really simple, that have a lot of negative space, so that the combination of all of them bleeds into one body of work. It was actually a little bit daunting because I wasn't sure what it was all going to look like until all the patches were on there. But I think I did a really good job of balancing that texture versus the more background heavy quilt patches. After I'd done one of each, I went back in and did one color at a time because I was quite happy with the patterns I'd chosen, and then just spent a lot of time adding all the details. This took me about 2 days to fill in all the patches. I'm not kidding, it takes a long time. I've sped it right up, but it was a lot because you're also waiting for each underglaze to dry. You're doing 3 coats of everything. Like these flowers alone, doing 3 coats. Sometimes I did 4 to 5 just to make sure the white would contrast against the color underneath it, but I'm just praying that it's all going to be worth it. My next issue with this plate was I was worried that it was going to crack and maybe bow because of the weight of the koala. I've never tested this frilly plate before, and I've got it with such a detailed design that I'm already obsessed with. I was worried that, yeah, in the kiln it was going to have cracks, maybe sink and bow where the weight of the koala would fall down into the foot. Oh, just so many issues I was thinking about. I was just praying that I had constructed it properly and that I had nursed it and made sure it dried really carefully so that when I fire it, that none of those issues surface and ruin all my hard work. The next part of this plate was the fact that I needed to glaze it, and it is too wide to fit in my glaze bucket. So I had to carefully run a jug of glaze over the top of it and make sure that I hadn't poured too much and that I didn't make it too thick and that it wasn't thin in places or have drips anywhere. So that was a little bit scary. I think I did a good job, and into the kiln it went. Alright, it's time to open the kiln up to my teddy bear plate. I'm a little bit nervous that it's cracked everywhere because of the weight of the bear and also all the little crevices on the edges. I just hope it's good. Let's open it together. Gosh, look at it, it's perfect. Oh my gosh, that turned out so good. I'm actually so impressed. There's no cracking from what I can see. The colors are so vibrant. I love the rim in that buttery yellow. It complements the piece perfectly while still being its own part of the plate without taking away from the doona. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. The little bear's cute. I can't see any cracking on that as well. I am in love. This is probably one of my favorite pieces I've ever made. Okay, this guy is just a little cutie. I love this koala so much. The way they are just hanging up in the bed, chilling and holding on to the doona. I actually love every single patch on the doona. I am actually so in love with this plate that we decided to hang it up on the gallery wall in our own house once we finished our renovations. I also love the idea of more animals on this plate. Imagine a little elephant or a frog. I also like the idea of the doona being one colorway or more like an autumn shading, or even winter would be so cute. What do you think of this plate? What animal should I try next? Thanks again for watching another one of my YouTube videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.